Right, hello everybody. My name is Andy Drinkwater. Some of you probably already know me, some maybe not. I've been an SEO consultant now for 20 years, and one of my beliefs is in sharing information, as all good SEOs probably should do. And one of the efforts I went to last year to try and make sure that I was giving everybody complete transparency in the work I was producing was to show them what was involved when I was auditing their website. I went a step further with this, and I actually produced this for anybody to look at. And what you have over here is that audit document itself. Now then, anybody can get access to this. There's no payments, there's no signing in, it's just a Google sheet that you can just go and access at any point. It is due an update, but with the last sort of few months, everything is just a little bit behind, but it is there ready to be used when you want. So I'm going to walk you through very quickly what you can actually find within the document itself. And we start off by looking at Google. Now then, Google obviously has an awful lot of data, and there's a lot of checks that can be done. So if you look at this, the first part of the audit is looking at Google checks and what you need to do with them. So what I've tried to do is make this as easy as possible. So if you look at the actual check itself, give it a grading, which is a pass or a fail, any notes you want to give it, and then at the very end I've put another column which shows you all the tools that I've actually used or I can use to actually sort of inspect these particular points. So it starts off, and it is very simple to use. It starts off just looking through Google itself. I then move on to benchmarks, and benchmarks are important for anybody who's doing an audit on the website, because you need to know where you're starting. If you don't know where you're starting and you make some changes, you won't know what changes have actually sort of taken effect. You won't know where you're up to. So you then need to move on to your benchmarks. Competition analysis is very simply a way of looking at your competitors and how are they doing things differently from you. And it helps to know where they are when it comes to the positions in Google, where they are as well. So have your competitors been identified? Have you benchmarked them? Their top keywords, their average search positions, etc. So it's very important to make sure that you get all of this information down within the spreadsheet so you can refer back to it. The site architecture is something that is probably one of the areas. This is definitely going to be due an update within the next sort of couple of months, and I will get round to doing this, I promise. And this looks at how the site is structured. It looks at the likes of pagination, canonical issues, and if you're not sure what all these are, I will be doing videos on these so that you can actually sort of get used to some of the terminology as well. Redirects, category use, and e-commerce websites, and a lot of these is down to how you will decide to, or how much you will actually decide to delve into them as well. So the actual site architecture itself covers a further 23 checks. Now then, at the moment, the document that I'm using myself has 239 inspection points. This one has 199 at the moment, and as I said, I will get around to getting this updated as soon as I can. The technical SEO checks. Technical SEO is a part of SEO. This is just a little bit more than a few on-page changes. It starts to look at the structure of the site in more detail, starting with whether your site is HTTP, HTTPS, and what I would suggest with these sorts of things is you don't just stop at, yes, the site is HTTPS. I'd then look into the areas surrounding that, as well as look at the actual certificate itself. Does it make sense? Is there any issues with it at all? And then walking down there, you can actually see that there's a lot of other checks to do. Site speed checks is another big one as well, because obviously with mobile first, we want to make sure that a site is as fast as possible. So there's a further 30 plus checks there. Image optimization, very important for mobile. Mobile first, as I mentioned, is paramount to Google. Google wants to make sure that at all times they know that they're delivering fast websites. If you don't have your images optimized and you're delivering full-sized images to somebody on a 3G, 4G device, then that's going to be very, very slow for them, and you definitely don't want that. So do look at your image optimization, your mobile audit checks. The mobile audit checks are, again, another part of mobile first. Make sure that everything is in place. If you're using AMP, which some sites do, it does provide a much speedier load option, and Google does again favour these, but probably only more for new sites at the moment. You have your page level and element analysis, and this is where you will be looking at the likes of your content, your page titles, your page descriptions. Does everything match up? Are you finding duplication? And if you're finding duplication, you've got something then you need to address. And moving on from there, we look at the keyword analysis, and keyword analysis is one of these areas that can be as in-depth or as basic as you want it to be, really. I wouldn't suggest you go headlong into a huge keyword campaign unless you've really got some time to go into that, but it does make sense to make sure that you know what it is that you're going after. And this is one of the things to look at with the competition analysis as well, is making sure you know what your competitors are actually going after. The content audit. Now then, everybody's always said for a long time content is king, and that is still the case. Google wants a page and wants a site that answers the questions that people are searching for. If you don't do that, you're on to a non-starter, really. There's no point in providing people with pages full of fluff because they won't read them. Google will know that, and you will be marked down for it as well. So do check all your content very carefully. User experience. Not a lot of people know this, that user experience and user satisfaction is actually a Google ranking signal, and you can actually find this within the Google Webmaster Guidelines. There's a little part in there that tells you that Google actually does use a good user experience on a website as a ranking signal, so very, very important to make sure that you get that just right. Backlinks and analysis. Your backlinks are still probably one of the more important areas of any campaign. There's no point in trying to build a website, then never try and acquire a backlink for it, because chances are, certainly at the moment, you're not going to get very far in terms of how far you want to actually achieve some sort of reputation with the site itself. You want to make sure that you've actually got that in the back of your mind. Best way to do them, as Google says, is don't buy them. And do make sure they are acquired naturally. Do with that as you want. I'm not going to say which is going to be the right or the wrong way to do that. Internationalization is very important if you do have a site that covers different countries, because then you need to know how to structure a site. If you've not got this structured, then there's some checks there to also look through, which will give you an idea of what you want to be doing. Local data and local SEO is again another huge part of SEO, and if you've got a local business, then you want to make sure that that local business is going to get seen. If you don't follow some of these, and if you find issues with your local SEO, then you will want to address them, and you will see the benefits in doing those as well. And the final part of this at the moment is the negative practice check, and I think I've only found 2 sites in the last sort of 8 months or so that have actually had anything on here. One was an increasing amount of doorway pages, and another one, believe it or not, was still hidden text. It still happens. So that's a very quick look at the SEO checklist itself. As I said, this will be getting updated, so please do feel free to make some good use of it. Don't feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or via my website, and if you want to find me on Twitter, it's just at IQ SEO. Thanks for now. I'll speak to you soon.